It's the 11th day of November 2025 on The Explainer tonight.
Kama tulivyokamatwa ndivyo tulivyoachiwa. Hakuna mazungumzo yoyote tuliyofanya na mtu yoyote.
Tanzania treason cases. More than 300 individuals, including bloggers, business and political leaders, face treason charges in Tanzania. The search continues. Another body retrieved as teams search for 10 missing mudslide victims, with the death toll climbing to 38. Brian Odhiambo's disappearance. Investigation places 6 police officers as the last people to interact with missing fishermen before his disappearance. Sweet freedom. Court sets former Samburu Governor Moses Lenol Kolal free, overturning 8-year jail term, ruling there was no sufficient evidence. And tonight on The Explainer, we had scheduled an interview, a conversation with Chief Justice Martha Koome and Attorney General Dorcas Oduor. That interview will not be taking place as earlier scheduled. We'll have that interview at another time. However, the show must go on. The Explainer starts right now.
Live from Citizen TV, this is The Explainer with Yvonne Okwara.
Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. Now, over 300 people in Tanzania are facing the highest crime in the country, that of treason. Those charged were arrested in the aftermath of the discredited general election of late last month, and they include politicians, influencers, ordinary citizens, some as young as 13 years of age. The charges come as the opposition Chadema's leadership denied engaging in talks with the Samia Suluhu-led government.
Crackdown against those perceived to have taken part in the violent protests in part of Tanzania during and after the election continues, with the action now moving to the courts of law. According to court records, nearly 340 people have been arrested for the political upheaval. The arrests are spread out across 7 towns, with the highest number of arrests registered in Iringa and Dar es Salaam. Out of those, 302 are facing the gravest crime in the country, treason. Those facing these grim charges include political leaders, businessmen, peasants, and local celebrities and social media influencers. Among the social media personalities in court for treason is Jennifer Jovin, popularly known as Nifa. The businesswoman is accused of encouraging protesters to buy gas masks in order to protect themselves against police tear gas. Content creators Mike Chavala, Miss Walters, Ruthmelda Sila, also known online as Strong Income, and Detha Oven are some of those facing these charges. The Tanganyika Law Society is offering pro bono legal services for the arrested persons. In accordance with Tanzanian law, a person is deemed to have committed treason if, whether they are in or outside the country, murdered or attempts to murder the president or levies war against the republic. This offense is punishable by death. As the government continues its crackdown on citizens, the country's opposition has denied claims that it is in talks with the Samia Suluhu-led government. The Chadema party's deputy leader John Heche, who had been arrested and later released alongside other opposition leaders, maintains that the fight for democracy and justice for those affected by state-sponsored violence will continue.
Kama tulivyokamatwa ndivyo tulivyoachiwa. Hakuna mazungumzo yoyote tuliyofanya na mtu yoyote. Nataka hili liwe very clear kwenye public, kwa sababu watu wasilete propaganda kwamba tumeachiwa kwa makubaliano fulani. Hatuna makubaliano tulioachiwa nayo. Bado sisi ni watu tunaamini ni innocent, na tunataka watu wengine wote wanaoshikiliwa kinyume cha utaratibu waachiwe, waende kwenye familia zao.
kusoma matokeo.
These developments come as the 13th Parliament of Tanzania held its first sessions sitting in the capital, Dodoma. Among the key activities conducted included the reading of the presidential proclamation, summoning Parliament, the election of Musa Azan Zungu as the Speaker, the swearing in of all members of Parliament, and the confirmation of the Prime Minister's appointment, as well as the election of the Deputy Speaker. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Now, those developments in Tanzania come as the UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk called for investigations into the killings and other violations committed in the context of the 29 October elections in Tanzania, even as reports emerged that bodies may have been taken by security forces to undisclosed locations. Back home, search and recovery efforts for 10 people suspected to be under the rubble in Chesongoch area are underway, with families joining in the operation to look for their kin. One body was recovered on Monday, raising hopes that more will be retrieved before the planned burial. And as Laura Otieno reports, the families are now dealing with the double tragedy of loss of life and livelihoods as the humanitarian crisis escalates with every passing day.
1 week after tragedy struck, leaving a trail of death in Chesongoch village in Elgeyo Marakwet, activities are slowing down. The government's manpower having vacated, families have resorted to dig through the washed-off soil that is farming up to dry earth fast.
Asa vile sina sunguka kutafuta watoto, leo napatikana mtoto mmoja. Na iko nguvu akusema atapatikana tena.
Kijana yangu Martin Chesa atapatikana na mtoto ya jirani Chebet bado atapatikana. Na mpaka saa hizi tuko na matumaini tutapata hao wote na tutawashika pamoja tarehe 21 wote.
Tunaendelea kutafuta na tumekaribia watu, tumeongelesha hao sababu hata wametofika sababu watasika nane. Wale 29 wanapatikana na hiyo 10 bado inapotea. Who will this be party?
In a tour of the area on Saturday, Public Service CS Geoffrey Ruku outlines government commitment to settle hospital bills, funeral expenses, as well as humanitarian support for the affected families. However, the buzz is dying down and families are now left at a crossroads.
Mtupatie shamba tutoka hapa twende tuishi huko pale pazuri, ili kwa sababu hakuna shamba lingine naweza jenga nyumba, ni hapo tu ni pale pangu yenye naishi na watoto.
The Chesongoch landslide left 38 people dead with 10 others still missing. A mass funeral service will be conducted on 21st of this month before the bodies are handed over to their respective families for interment. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, as floods and mudslides devastate parts of the country, washing away homes, livelihoods and lives, another part of Kenya in the north is drying up. A silent crisis is unfolding in remote Dukana, more than 200 kilometers from Marsabit town, where drought is ravaging the land. Families are walking for miles in search of water. Our reporter Emily Chebet, who has just returned from the northern frontier, brings us the story of a haunting paradox that lays bare Kenya's climate inequality, a nation facing both extremes at the same time.
In the far north of Kenya, where the roads end and the desert begins, the land is a whisper of what it once was. The wind here carries not rain but dust, hunger and forgotten stories. The earth is parched, cracked open, gasping for a drop of life. In Dukana, more than 200 kilometers off-road from Marsabit town, close to the Kenya-Ethiopia border, families are facing a dire situation. Dry water ponds and depleted pasture for their animals, the sole source of livelihood here. These women are from Konye village. It is noon and they've been walking in search of the precious commodity. This journey is routine, a journey not of choice but of survival. We walk long distances to get water, and when I leave in the morning, I will come back in the evening and sometimes with salty water. The same water that is killing in other parts of the country is desperately needed here. After the long, exhausting walk comes the wait. Each jerrycans take time and strength. The wells are shallow, barely holding what little the earth can offer.
Sasa tunatumia hiyo maji and it's not safe. Tunatumia because it's not salty, ni ya laga. Na watu wanatokanga 20 kilometers wakuja hapa almost 4 hours walking. Alafu wafike hapa tena watumia some hours kushota hiyo maji sababu ni kidogo.
The struggle is similar from North Horr to South Horr. A few water points donated by well-wishers are attracting communities from far and wide, eager to quench their thirst.
Mama, mbira yake ni moja tu, utaleta saa 2 huko, utakuja kwa hapa. Na maji tunataka, na maji ni kidogo, unakaa tu hivi hapa mpaka saa 11.
The latest statistics from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies paint a grim picture. By early 2025, drought conditions had intensified, with counties such as Wajir, Kilifi and Kwale now entering the alert phase. According to IFRC, the arid and semi-arid lands covering nearly 90% of Kenya's land mass and home to over 70% of the country's livestock are facing critical shortages of both pasture and water. A drive through this rough terrain reveals the gravity of the situation, a landscape gasping for relief. If urgent action is not taken, next year could mirror the devastation of 2022 and 2023, years that left hundreds of families displaced and livelihoods destroyed. Selegabaro Dam, built in 2010, was once a beacon of hope for residents of Saru and Dukana. The dam held water to sustain the community for years, capturing runoff from the Kenya-Ethiopia hills. But that hope has long dried up. This structure broke down more than 3 years ago, and to this day, it remains unrepaired.
Tumekuwa inatumianga maji karibu mwaka 3, na sasa ile ingine hapo chini imetoboka na haikai na maji, na hii ikiharibika tutakuwa na shida kubwa sana, sababu tunaenda mbali almost 50 to 60 kilometers kutafuta maji.
As communities here in Marsabit County grapples with lack of water, some forced to go up to 20 kilometers or more to search for this crucial commodity. Some dams like this have been laying bare. The Kenya Red Cross has been working with communities here, rehabilitating water points and providing food relief. But in a region where reaching those in need is a struggle in its own, residents say it's not enough. They are calling for stronger long-term intervention, especially from the government. As floods ravage some parts of Kenya and drought grips others, the country stands divided by the same element that sustains life: water. This is a stark reminder of a country still thirsty, not just for water, but for equity. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV in Marsabit County.
The police officer investigating the disappearance of fisherman Brian Odhiambo has identified 6 KWS rangers as the last people who interacted with him before he went missing. Chief Inspector Julius Muhuri told the court that from analysis, Odhiambo's phone signals were close to the suspect's phones at the time he's alleged to have been arrested for trespassing into the Nakuru National Park to conduct illegal fishing. Muhuri also told the court that the KWS Rangers never booked the arrest or escape of Odhiambo in their occurrence book. Gatete Njoroge reports.
After hearing from 3 witnesses on Monday,
his whereabouts,
it was the investigating officer's turn to take to the witness stand. Julius Muhuri, a chief inspector of police, in his submission, placed the 6 KWS Rangers at the scene where Brian Odhiambo was allegedly last seen.
We were able to see that they were in close proximity with Brian Odhiambo at around 10:00 hours to 11:00 hours. That was the time when Brian Odhiambo was reportedly arrested by the said KWS officers.
While questioning the statement by one of the suspects, alleging Odhiambo had escaped from the KWS vehicle after his arrest. Muhuri said there was no record of his arrest or escape in the occurrence book.
The KWS officers that day never booked any suspect that had escaped from their custody or incident that they had arrested anyone who had escaped. However, we noted in the remarks column in that occurrence book, there was an entry that was appended there. This confirms actually that they had arrested the said person.
The officer complained of facing frustrations during investigations, a case in point where they were allowed to access information 4 days after they made a request.
Do you have any evidence?
Muhuri was taken to task by the suspect's lawyers, who questioned the phone that Odhiambo was using, which had his wife's SIM card.
Is registered under whose name?
Alvi Okello.
And you've confirmed to court that Alvi Okello is not the subject matter in this suit, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The investigating officer says they are yet to recover the said phone.
And the evidence that was brought before us indicated actually they know whereabouts of Brian Odhiambo and they have continued to confine him.
Muhuri told the court that on the fateful day, at least 16 rangers were in the operation to arrest those involved in illegal fishing. With 15 witnesses having testified, Nakuru Senior Principal Magistrate Kipkurui Kibelion has directed the case be mentioned on February 16, 2026.
Brian Odhiambo has never been found.
Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Thank you very much.
Former Samburu Governor Moses Kasaine Lenol Kolal is tonight a free man after the High Court overturned his conviction in an 83 million shillings corruption case. Justice Benjamin Musyoki, while quashing the trial court's decision to jail the ex-governor and his co-accused for 8 years, ruled that the prosecution had not sufficiently proven corruption and confliction of interest charges against the former governor. And as Kamau Mwangi now reports, Lenol Kolal has also been cleared for appointment as well as election to any public office.
Former Samburu Governor Moses Kasaine Lenol Kolal, previously convicted of corruption and conflict of interest, is tonight a free man. This is after he successfully appealed an earlier ruling that had seen him and his co-accused slapped with an 8-year jail term. While overturning the ex-governor's and 2 of his co-accused convictions, High Court Judge Benson Musyoki said the prosecution had not shown concrete evidence linking Lenol Kolal to the operations or profits of Oryx Service Station, the fuel supply at the center of the Kenya shillings 83 million corruption case. In freeing his co-accused Esbon Dathi and Bernard Lesrumat, who had been cited as the chief enablers of the transfer of the amount in question, Justice Musyoki wondered how the two could have benefited from the total sum of the disputed monies, citing the investigation officer's witness statement that had told the trial court that the entire amount quoted in the charge sheet went to the former governor.
Besides depositing his passport,
Musyoka's 54-page judgment also set aside Chief Magistrate Nzioki's orders that had barred Lenol Kolal and his co-accused from being appointed or elected to any public office for a period of 10 years, and at the same time ordered for a refund of fines paid by the 3 during the course of their trial.
Arambe! Arambe! Ruto!
This is the former governor's latest outing when he joined President Ruto during his tour of Samburu County.
Kwa sababu ya maji, ya barabara.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
A report by the Kenyan Network of Cancer Organizations shows that over 60% of cancer patients are facing challenges in accessing health services under the Social Health Insurance Cover, SHA. The report shows that majority of patients deplete their benefits package before the end of each year. Kenco Executive Director Phoebe Ongadi, while appearing before the National Assembly's Health Committee, appealed for more funds to be allocated for cancer treatment and mitigation, revealing that over 29,000 Kenyans die due to cancer-related diseases every year. Here's Seth Olale with that report.
The report presented by the Kenya Network of Cancer Organizations to the National Assembly Health Committee shows that 44,700 new cancer cases were registered. Thousands of the patients, however, are forced to abandon treatment because of the high cost, with SHA benefit package having been depleted. 60% of cancer patients exhaust their SHA cover before the end of the year. 35% exhaust their benefits in less than 3 months, with 13% being forced to abandon treatment completely.
We appreciate those strides, but now we are pushing. Probably that's what the CS has been talking about. He's talking about the ideal, what is on paper, what should be happening, but what is on the ground. We say that kwa ground vitu ni different, and that is what we are presenting to do for you today. Kwa ground maneno ya SHA na oncology package ni different.
The ministry has just to work a way where these people can pay by installment, but still pay and avoid adverse selection, because you can't force people to pay 6,000 if they don't have it. But they say, I can pay you bit by bit. See how you take that. And if actually people paid bit by bit everybody, eventually it will be the same.
The advocacy group telling the legislators how the transition from the National Health Insurance Fund to SHA had introduced new hurdles for patients seeking chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and follow-up treatments.
We are also pushing for our inclusion as cancer survivors, as cancer patients within these committees that are coming up with the benefits package. So, for example, we have the benefits package tariff advisory panel. Would want to be, members of such committees. Maybe you can also pick that up so that we can be sure that our issues are also taken care of.
The Kenya Network of Cancer Organizations estimating that families spend an average of 3.8 million shillings a year to keep loved ones alive through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgery, and follow-up medication, which have turned cancer treatment into both a medical and financial nightmare. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Tonight, the united opposition have hit back at President William Ruto over his claims that the opposition leaders are driven by political greed. The leaders saying the president is worried by Kalonzo's reception in Nyanza, which complicates his political matrix. Melita Oletenges reports.
United opposition leaders attended the burial of Terry Kariuki, the wife to the late J.M. Kariuki, at Kanyamwe Farm in Gilgil, Nakuru County. They took a swipe at President William Ruto, calling him a confused president and that his political calculations have hit a dead end as the opposition is acceptable in Nyanza.
Nimeona huyu Kasongo jana akilia, akisema ya kwamba ati kuna wanaume 5 wanakutana ati kugawa serikali. Huyu Kasongo hana habari, amechanganyikiwa. Unajua tangu alienda pale Kisumu, pale Bondo kulia machozi ya uongo, akisema atanalia mambo ya Raila. Kalonzo akaenda pale, Mama Aida na wote familia wakasema wanatabua Kalonzo. Huyu Kasongo amechanganyikiwa.
They have dismissed accusations that the opposition is out to ring-fence their own interests by forming government, insisting they have one core mission: to remove President Ruto from power.
Hao wanaume 5 wanakutana na mama moja. Hakuna serikali wanagawa. Wanapanga vile utaenda nyumbani. Hiyo ndio kazi iko mbele. Na hakuna mtu nagawa serikali. Tumeambiwa na watu ya Kenya, kazi yetu ya kwanza ni kupeleka Kasongo nyumbani. Mambo ya serikali tutaongea baadaye.
The opposition leaders dismissing claims that a member of their team was in talks with President Ruto, terming the claims state-sponsored propaganda.
Rigiji akatuuliza, nasikia nyinyi wawili mnatafuta na Kasongo. Na akatuambia mkiitwa msisahau kuniita. Rigiji nataka nikwambie ya kwamba tukiitwa mimi na Kalonzo tutaambia Kasongo, huyo kuzo wetu Rigiji ndio spokesman wetu. Kama unatafuta Wamalwa, kama unatafuta Kalonzo, wewe enda kule wa Munyoro, tafuta Rigiji uzungumza na yeye.
In remembering the late J.M. Kariuki, they said the historical injustices faced through political assassinations should be addressed.
Kuna mambo ya historical injustice in this country. Na kuna pia mambo ya reparations. Kwa hivyo hatuwezi kuendelea na nchi ambayo historia yake ni ngumu, na lazima hiyo ngumu historia lazima ichambuliwe, lazima tuiangalie na tufanye marekebisho.
Actively involved in charitable work.
The family of J.M. Kariuki eulogized his late widow Terry Kariuki as a woman of strong principle and overflowing kindness. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
The Cabinet has endorsed the waiver of interest and penalties on outstanding land settlement loans to ease the financial burden on low-income settlers. In a Cabinet meeting chaired by President William Ruto today, the Land Settlement Fund Board of Trustees noted that many settlers have been unable to repay accrued interest due to economic hardship and challenges affecting agricultural productivity.
The Cabinet held its weekly meeting today in State House, Nairobi, with the hardships by scheme settlers as one of their agenda. The meeting chaired by President William Ruto agreed that the waiver will benefit thousands of settlers in 520 settlement schemes in 26 counties. This, according to the Cabinet, covers an accumulated portfolio of 12.3 billion shillings. According to the Cabinet memo, beneficiaries will be able to obtain title deeds and use them as collateral for investment and regularize land accounts that have been in arrears for decades. Treasury, through the Public Finance Management Act, issued a 12-month moratorium to enable beneficiaries to clear their principal balances of interest accrued. The Cabinet also gave the green light to the dualling of the 23.5-kilometer Muthaiga-Kiambu Ndumberi Road to ease congestion between Nairobi and Kiambu counties. The project will expand the existing two-lane highway into a dual carriageway, complete with bypasses, loops, and access roads to increase capacity and reduce travel times. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
All right, let's take our first commercial break here on The Explainer tonight. Much more to come, including this.
Coming up, 72-year-old man arrested for allegedly killing wife and burying her body in their house.
Your wealth deserves world-class benefits. Use your Standard Chartered Visa cards to book Qatar Airways flights, Qatar holidays, or Student Club travel and enjoy collective offers of up to 32% on Qatar Airways. Now's your time for wealth.
Guys, mwazeni wait.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
Mimi kama MC natenda ninayoyasema. Nimekuwa kielelezo kwa mara nyingi. Ni sawa, hakuna shida. Awali, haya madoa sugu yangebaki kwenye nguo zangu na kusugua kutotoa nguo zangu rangi. Asante kwa Ariel Liquid mpya, ni nzuri.
Inaondoa madoa sugu na kung'arisha nguo, mwosho baada ya mwosho.
Asante, New Ariel Liquid.
New Ariel Liquid kwa mashine za kufulia, huondoa madoa sugu kwa mwosho mmoja.
Royal Mabati Factory Limited has early Christmas discounts. Corrugated and box profile at $396 per meter, brick tile at $456, and Roman tile at $500. Relax at home and enjoy free delivery countrywide. Call us on 0722 638383 or order now at www.royalmabati.com.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya twende mbele,
Kenya twende mbele. NCBA, go for it.
Access to finance and capital, that is very key in unlocking impact and growth like what we are reporting in Shamba Pride. It is a big challenge, and EIB has been one of the biggest examples of deploying capital to early stage companies. And I think I really take pride in EIB capital that has really been very key for Shamba to unlock growth of creating jobs internally and also creating jobs to thousands of farmers and agro-dealers we work with across different villages in Kenya.
Ngano ndio hii. Raha Premium Kavagara kwa raha ya familia.
Kupika ni sherehe daily. Pika kama wewe, come choose mix. Pika kama wewe, come choose mix. Pika kama wewe, come choose mix.
Can you grow your wealth anywhere? Standard Chartered's unique global network and deep local insights give you unparalleled expertise anywhere, right now. Now's your time for wealth. Join Priority Banking today.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, residents in Nyamira and Bungoma counties took to the streets to protest the deplorable state of local roads. The demonstrators say the roads have remained in that state for years, despite a pledge by President William Ruto made during his tenure as Deputy President to ensure the key routes are upgraded to tarmac. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui with more.
Tumekuja tukaanzisha hii barabara yenu pale Nyanziongo. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Tumejenga hatujajenga? Ile ya Kemera tumeanzisha. Ile ya Mosobeti tumeanzisha. Ile ya Motemomwamu tumeanzisha. Hapa Nyamira tumejenga kilomita 300 ya lami mimi nikiwa Deputy President.
It has been over 3 years since the President, then as Deputy President, announced the commencement of the Manga-Motemomwamu Road project alongside hundreds of kilometers of other road works during the height of the 2022 campaign. Earlier in May that year, he had urged residents to identify roads they considered crucial for economic transformation, promising development that will spur growth across the region.
Tuko na barabara zingine ambazo ni priority, ambazo nataka mtatuandikia katika ile chata tutaweka sahihi na watu wa Nyamira. Mtuambie barabara hii na hii na hii ni ya muhimu kwa mambo ya chai na kahawa na ndizi kufika sokoni.
But those unfulfilled pledges by President William Ruto to upgrade the Manga-Motemomwamu Road have sparked growing frustration in Nyamira County, where residents have resorted to regular protests to pressure the government into action.
Bwana Rais, wakati alikuwa debut, walipokuja na siasa Duale, walisema ya kwamba hii barabara ya Manga-Motemomwamu wataiweka lami. Hata hiyo kiribu mkiangalia kwa YouTube iko.
Locals say the road has deteriorated so severely that motorists routinely get stuck in deep mud during rains, forcing passers-by to push vehicles.
Tangu asubuhi barabara vile mwenzetu mkiangalia tumeshindwa kupita.
Tumetuwekea mwaram, hiyo mwaram inatusumbua, imefunja magari, imeharibu kila kitu. Hata hao watu wenye wanafanyisha mtihani imebidi wametembea na mguu siku ya leo.
A similar scenario played out in Lwahaha, Bungoma County, where business activities along the Kenya-Uganda border were paralyzed as residents blocked the road to protest its poor condition.
Barabara ni mbaya. Kutoka hapa kwa daraja hapa, no man's land, kuenda hivi mpaka Bungoma, barabara sio mzuri kabisa.
Hundreds of travelers were left stranded as motorists joined the peaceful demonstrations.
Tukilinganisha Uganda na Kenya, barabara yenye inaingia Uganda kutoka border yetu iko sawa 100%, but yetu inaanza kuharibu biashara.
The route, which serves as a vital transport link between Kenya, Uganda and other neighboring countries, has fallen into disrepair for years. Residents in both counties are now calling on local leaders, county governments and the national government to move with speed to rehabilitate the critical infrastructure. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
A section of DAPK members led by Deputy Party Leader N. Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula have thrown their weight behind UDA's David Ndakwa in the Malava by-election, abandoning their own candidate Seth Panyako. They say aligning with government will ensure development for the region. This comes as campaigns enter the final stretch ahead of the by-election scheduled for the 27th of November. Willie Lusige reports.
Less than 3 weeks to the Malava parliamentary by-election, Kakamega Deputy Governor and DAPK Deputy Party Leader Ayub Savula has defied party lines to endorse and begin campaigning for the UDA candidate David Ndakwa, abandoning his own DAPK candidate Seth Panyako.
Mimi ni Deputy Party Leader wa DAP, lakini naona mbele sioni hapa. Mpaka tuhakikishe Ndakwa ameingia ndani. Hamujawahi kuwa upinzani tangu hii dunia ianze.
DAPK members who have crossed over say supporting their party candidate who will push their area into opposition. They maintain their moves to align with the government for development and opportunities. It is a position welcomed by leaders loyal to the broad-based government.
Tukeuke, tuangalie mbele. Sisi tunataka tutembee wote pamoja, tuache mambo ya ukabila.
The UDA political team in Malava has welcomed the move, saying local politics should reflect the region's presence in government.
Kuna mtu anakuja hapa, nyinyi hamna chochote ama hamna nani, mnaambiwa ya kwamba ako kambunge tu Kenya mnatakana mkue nako kwa miaka 2 imebaki na kuna serikali, wanasema mpeleke mtu ambaye sio wa serikali.
By next week hizi stima zitaanza kuwaka hapa area hii ya Mang'oriro. Jirani mwema ni yule anakuja kusaidia ama analeta matusi.
Savula's move is illustrative of the division within political parties. UDA's Senator Boni Khalwale has backed DAPK Kenya's candidate Seth Panyako, citing dissatisfaction with President Ruto's handling of the nomination process after the death of former Member of Parliament Malulu Njendi. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV.
Police in Kisii have finally exhumed the body of a 54-year-old woman who went missing mysteriously 2 months ago. The body of Zipporah Omari was exhumed from a shallow grave as a 72-year-old man is currently being held at Kisii Central Police in connection with a gruesome murder. Crispin Otieno with the details.
After days of agony, the remains of Zipporah Omari was finally exhumed in front of their thatched house in Mwembe opposite Kisii Cathedral. According to the deceased family members, Zipporah, a widow, decided to cohabit with the main suspect, also widower, by the name John Agwacha for the past 1 year. Concerns about Zipporah's whereabouts were raised by her tenants within Mwembe Estate after she failed to collect rent arrears for the past 2 months.
Tumepata kuchimbua mahali pale ambapo kulikuwa kumeonekana kumezikwa mwili ya yule mama, na hakika hivi sasa vile ninavyozungumza tumepata kufufua mwili ambayo kulingana na uchunguzi wetu wa mwanzo inaonyesha kwamba inaweza kuwa ni mwili ya yule mama ambaye aliripotiwa kupotea.
Reports from DCI indicates that the main suspect, John Agwacha, confessed to having committed the heinous act by hitting the deceased with a blunt object before burying her remains in a shallow grave at 11:30 p.m. He later recanted the statement, saying he is innocent.
Inaonekana alikuwa amezaa musika kitambo, sasa mvua imenyesha hapo, huwezi onekana kama mtu alikuwa amezaa siku hapo. Kaambia musiki kitu yenye unafanya, sasa kitu yenye tunaenda na wewe paka kwa polisi tulipoti. Na hao kuna wamama walikuja wasichana wawili na huyo mama. Tukaenda paka polisi huko chini.
The suspect will be remanded at Kisii Police Station for the next 30 days as family call for justice. Remains of the late was taken to Kisii Hospital's morgue, awaiting autopsy. Crispin Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, the family of missing security analyst Mwenda Mbijiwe has urged the court to compel the government to produce Mbijiwe dead or alive. Through their lawyer Evans Ondiek, Mbijiwe's family further called for the arrest of the Inspector General of Police and the Director of DCI as they mount efforts to trace their missing kin. Mwenda Mbijiwe has been missing for 4 years now.
4 years. 4 years. Yes. Incommunicado. And Your Lordship, counsel comes to court and says, yes, she has received the file this morning. And then you can look at the strategic delivery of the file this morning. So, and I thought court orders are court orders. We are all subject to this constitution that we must respect and obey court orders. It was a court order that they produced the subject matter today before you, whether he's alive or deceased. So they cannot be telling us about correspondence. Your Honor, Your Lordship, in the absence of the compliance with the court, I pray that you issue warrants, because you issued summons. You issued warrants, let them be arrested, let them be brought to court under warrant. That's when they will know that the rule of law is the rule of law and none of us is above the law.
And coming up in business, no power rationing. Government moves to calm fears after President Ruto's rationing warning.
Why do 7 out of 10 kids have cavities, sir? Because whatever this toothpaste has for cavity protection, isn't enough. Double Herbal contains clove. My mother says it contains eugenol, which is 100% effective in cavity protection. Where there's clove, there's no cavity.
Get your value pack today.
Access to finance and capital, that is very key in unlocking impact and growth like what we are reporting in Shamba Pride. It is a big challenge, and EIB has been one of the biggest examples of deploying capital to early stage companies. And I think I really take pride in EIB capital that has really been very key for Shamba to unlock growth of creating jobs internally and also creating jobs to thousands of farmers and agro-dealers we work with across different villages in Kenya.
Teke na Wigo Boda. Chanua Jam, fika on time at the lowest charges in town. Vaa helmet and ride in style. Ni safi, ni safe, na ni easy kwa mfuko yako. Wigo, your trusted ride. Download the app now. Ama SMS Wigo to 20425. You'll fike right on time. Wigo, your trusted ride.
Venus unveils confidence that captivates with 5 times more hydration. Venus, inspired by nature, perfected by science.
The Government of Kenya invites you to the 25th East African Community MSME Trade Fair happening from November 7th to 16th, 2025 at Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi. Join over 3,000 exhibitors from across East Africa and be part of shaping a prosperous, inclusive, and united East African community. Karibu Kenya. Connect, trade, thrive. Entry is free.
Not just a dreamer, I'm your thank you from the future. Mimi kesho yenu, umenijenga kwa umoja. I'm that possibility, sparking from the chance you gave to that child. Mimi kesho yenu.
Join us by nominating a school that needs an upgrade. Together, let's transform education and create the citizens of the future.
Hi, baby.
Kill-proof with Gorilla Glass 7i and IP65, sleek, strong, unstoppable.
Baidha nguruwe inakula sana, si mchezo, na kama auilisha sasa utatarajia ipate hiyo weight unahitaji ya kwenda soko.
One day, just one day, ukweli utajulikana. Welcome Naivas Kikwetu to your home this year. Tunasherekea customers wetu Kikwetu kila siku.
Now, the government has moved to calm fears of looming power rationing following remarks by President William Ruto suggesting that between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. the government has been forced to cut power in some areas to keep the grid stable. Principal Secretary for Energy Alex Wachira now says that Kenya has a sufficient supply of energy and that the president is only calling for increased generation to hasten industrialization. Here's Jasmine Wamboe with that report.
The story began in Doha, Qatar, when President Ruto attended the Second World Summit for Social Development. While addressing a section of Kenyans, the president made remarks indicating that the government has been shutting off power supply in some parts of the country between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. to keep the national grid stable. When the news reached the country, Kenyans expressed fears of a possible blackouts in the future.
Yes, it is true that there are once in a while, because of breakdowns and because of the intermittent nature of wind and solar, we can have a slight constraint. But over and large, we do have adequate power within the country, but the reserves are normally very thin.
we don't have spinning reserve. What is spinning reserve? Spinning reserve is in case we have a plant that is out. In case today Lake Turkana has low wind output, we do not have a plant that can be able to inject the 300 megawatts instantly to ensure that we do not load shed. So we survive very well when we have very good wind outputs, but on days when we do not have good wind outputs, then the country, we do not have enough farm capacity that can be able to power our peak power demand.
Since 2018, no new energy sources have been added to the national grid due to a power purchase agreement moratorium imposed by Parliament. The now famous moratorium was introduced as part of an effort to investigate the cost of power. And in the 7 years since, energy consumption has nearly outpaced generation.
We need to start acting and acting fast. The issue of providing, say, a moratorium that blocks any new development, and we are sitting pretty under the perception that there is too much power in Kenya, is a misnomer and needs to be addressed.
We need to increase. We need to look at LNG. We need to look at a nuclear power plant. We need to look at a high Grand Force dam so that we can be able to industrialize as a country.
The push for new generation capacity is seen as crucial as the country continues to court global investors around the world to set up shop in the country.
In terms of attracting the investors, it is very good for me to state that during the day, we have adequate generation. And it's only that window between around 6 and 10 p.m., which we are addressing, and I think the PS has answered to that. But again, after 10 p.m., we have too much power available.
At the same time, Kenya Power is investing over 29 billion shillings into the grid to enhance redundancy and stability. After days of panic following the president's pronouncements around power rationing, the government is now moving to actively reassure Kenyans that there will be no blackouts caused by power rationing, saying the president's comments were meant to encourage power generation. Jasmine Wamboi, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Over 3,000 micro, small and medium enterprises from across the East African community have gathered in Nairobi for the 25th Regional SMEs Trade Fair, celebrating the sector's vital contribution to innovation, job creation and economic transformation. The event brings together policymakers, entrepreneurs and regional bodies to explore new strategies for strengthening cross-border trade and unlocking new market opportunities. As Jimmy Mbogo now tells us, the 10-day fair has also created an opportunity for traders to address key bottlenecks affecting them.
The ongoing East Africa Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Trade Fair has seen the EAC Ministerial Dialogue reaffirm the central role played by MSMEs as engines of economic growth and drivers of industrialization across the region. Speakers emphasized the need for tailored regulatory reforms, improved access to finance and robust capacity building initiative to help enterprises scale up and compete regionally and globally. Speaking during the official opening of the 10-day event, the Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Wycliffe Oparanya, noted the need to fast-track tailored regulatory reforms and capacity-building initiatives.
The meeting seeks to translate the outcome of the East African Community MSME Ministerial Roundtable into concrete actions with measurable impact and to working closely with ITC and other partners to build resilient, inclusive and sustainable MSME ecosystem across the East African community region.
If you look at the value of intra-EAC trade now, if we only unlocked maybe another 20% from the MSMEs, maybe we'll be able to lift that up to another $50 million, $15 billion for maybe a period of a year. I mean, those are just back of the envelope numbers.
The government also announced plans to release an additional 4.4 billion shillings under the Nyota Fund to support MSMEs, targeting over 6,000 businesses in Nairobi. According to President William Ruto, the government also intends to securitize credit scoring mechanism as a way to unlock more funding for women and youth-led enterprises.
Part of growing the MSMEs is what I said, access to credit, targeted grants, and we are also supporting them to do business. Under this same program, we will be identifying 600,000 small entrepreneurs. And we want to support them with capacity building so that they can do business with government, both at the county and at the national level.
We want to nurture a new generation of entrepreneurs in Kenya. So we are targeting 100,000 entrepreneurs. Cumulatively, we disbursed close to 304 million because there were 12,155 beneficiaries. And this is 25,000, but of course 3,000 is for their saving.
Despite the enthusiasm surrounding the fair, some SMEs expressed frustration of organizational challenges, citing long delays in space allocation that disrupted their exhibition schedules. Participants called for better planning in future editions to ensure exhibitors maximize on the value of their participation and networking opportunities. Jimmy Mogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Gor Mahia FC fans make official visit to former patron Raila Odinga's grave. Details in sports after this break.
Making and selling. In Africa, too hard? Not anymore.
AfriQuality. Buy African, build Africa.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
Explore the nature and create from it. The spirit of inventors leads to the inspiration for new technology. By drawing nature's energy, we create the extraction tech. Small in size, huge in power. Millions of microcapsules condense the essence of nature. Join us, Cleasoft Invent for Life.
Each note is a promise. Each step, a story. For 2 years, the Great Chepsaita cross-country run has turned strides into stairways of success.
Wamefuka mipaka ambayo hawangeweza kufuka. Tumepata watoto kusoma.
On the 6th of December, the legacy returns. The Great Chepsaita cross-country run, a gold label event on the World Athletics Tour. Register now and run for education.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
Welcome to Homelink Mabati Factory, your trusted partner in roofing. We provide high quality and durable products including box profile, V-tile, prime tile and canopy sheets. Enjoy affordable prices, big discounts and 15 years warranty. Call us on 0794 800 000. Homelink Mabati Factory. We promise, we deliver.
Friday, 10 p.m.
Unajua ni kudunda kudojo.
Bigger statue.
Salam kwa.
Akufa juu, kila mtu hapa ndani kufa juu.
E for the energy. E for the vibe. Say E for the energy. Unaweza niita media messiah
Force Africa's mega hype man. Good man.
10 over 10 every Friday from 10 p.m. 10 over 10 brought to you by
Drip ni PM, Ngoma ni PM, gwiji wa content, art ni vibe, mzing wa street. Jishikie boti ya Chrome, scratch label, tuma code kwa 22110.
Kromoka.
Baidha nguru inakula sana, si mchezo, na kama auilisha sasa utatarajia ipate hiyo weight unahitaji ya kuenda soko.
One day, just one day, ukweli utajulikana.
Welcome Naivas Kikwetu to your home this year. Tunasherekea customers wetu Kikwetu kila siku.
The national football team, the Harambee Stars, have intensified their training ahead of a double-header friendly match during the November FIFA international break. Coach Benny McCarthy called up a young squad with the aim of mentoring the upcoming talents. Lukman Mahmood has the details.
From the under-20 Rising Stars, 3 players have made the breakthrough to the senior team Harambee Stars, who are in camp ahead of 2 matches in Antalya, Turkey. Aldrin Kibet, who plies his trade in Spain with Celta Vigo Youth, Baron Ochieng of Africa Giants Zamalek, and Lawrence Okoth from Phoenix top-tier side SJK Senajoiki are all over the moon, having got their best chance of advancing their careers.
I'm really excited because everyone knows it. It's a dream for everyone. Every young kid playing football is dreaming one day I represent the national team. For me, nimepatiwa chance. I'm really excited. Niko in that process of accepting that.
With a good blend of youth and experience, the team has one target of registering positive results against Equatorial Guinea and the Lions of Teranga, Senegal, both matches to be staged in Turkey.
I think ni friendly mbili poa. Kuangalia kwa kujaribu kutest quality yetu as individual na as a team pia. So I think leo ni tizi ya kwanza. So I think from leo ndo tajua, but mentally nasema tuko prepared.
With the head coach Benny McCarthy sorting out his passport issues, the technical bench believe that the 2 friendly matches will instill confidence and build a better team in the near future.
We've taken a little bit of a different approach. While they're focusing on AFCON, we focus on the development of a new crop of players. There's some really good local players that have been performing week in and week out. We wish we could have picked a couple of more.
Kenya will battle Equatorial Guinea on Saturday before completing their task against Senegal on Tuesday next week. Apart from getting commendable results in the 2 international friendly, Harambee Stars are also taking time to integrate youth players into the senior team. Lukman Mahmood, Citizen TV, Nyayo Stadium, Nairobi.
Greg Snow maintained his overnight lead to secure his maiden Sunshine Development Tour East Africa swing title at the Limuru Country Club. Snow held a 6-shot lead at the start of the final round but was off colour today with a score of 1 over par. His start was terrible with 4 bogeys and only 2 birdies. 2 more bogeys put him under real pressure. A birdie and an eagle in the final hole gave him a tournament total of 10 under par. Njoroge Kibugu finished second after a spirited final round of 3 under par. He picked a remarkable 7 birdies and 1 triple bogey that made all the difference as he finished the tournament on 7 under par 209, 3 shots behind Greg Snow.
Thinking to myself, I'm like, you can't blow a 6-shot lead. You can't do that. I'm not that type of player. But in terms of that, yeah, my caddy, thanks to him, put me back in it again. I asked him what the situation was, playing 15. He told me we were 2 behind, which we're not 2 behind. I didn't know till that time. Decided I just got to go for it.
I played really well today. I felt like I hit the ball well. I putted a lot better than the last 2 days. Got unfortunate on one hole, tough flag stick. But I'm happy with second, and I'm happy with the fight I showed today, especially after that triple on 7.
The Kenya Taekwondo Federation has unveiled the national under-21 team that will fly the Kenyan flag at the World Taekwondo Under-21 Championship that will be held in Kenya in December. Fresh from winning the Career Ambassadors Cup overall title in Uganda, Team Kenya is set to camp in Ivory Coast for 2 weeks ahead of the championship. The organizing committee has put everything in place and is now waiting for brand new tournament equipment to be installed. The Taekwondo Federation has picked an environmental conservation theme, Kicking for the Planet, in an effort to raise awareness on sports and conservation. The championship will be held from the 3rd to the 6th of December in Nairobi.
Kenya is now strategically placed in the global map. We can be recognized as a sporting giant. And I think this is the first biggest event in all other events that has been hosted in Kenya. This one is the first.
All right, now record Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia FC fans made a grand entry into Siaya County for their official visit to former patron Raila Odinga's grave to pay their last respects. The fans from different branches across the country travelled in a convoy of buses to Bondo in what they called an official visit to send off Baba as Gor Mahia fans. Most of the fans did not attend the burial ceremony last month, but have been remembering Raila in all Gor Mahia matches, saluting him with cheers and firecrackers in the 80th minute of every match. Having served as a patron of the club for a long time, the fans say they want to be involved in picking the next patron of the club.
Alikuwa unity factor katikati yetu kama wanachama wa Gor Mahia. So ilikuwa lazima tukuje tusimame na patron wetu, tena kiongozi wetu, tena baba wetu. FC wakishinda alikuwa anasherekea. Gor akishinda alikuwa anasherekea. So alikuwa mtu wa watu, and that's why tulikuwa na mkakati ya kukuja na fans wa Gor Mahia, fans wa AFC pia hapa, na kulingana na wakati hawangeweza kufika. So
we are also asking the EC to convene that meeting as soon as possible. As the members, we want that special general meeting to be convened for us to know all these directives that are being displayed. Who is giving this directive and whose authority?
Shabiki.com has once again come in as the title sponsor of the Rashid Abdallah Super Cup that kicked off in August and will conclude in December in Kwale County. The tournament is being played across 2 counties of Mombasa and Kwale. Shabiki.com Chief Operations Officer Abdi Wako says they are once again involved in the tournament as it resonates well with their mantra of developing talents from the grassroots. The 2025 edition is a special one as the trophies to be handed over to the winners have been imported. This will be the norm going forward as Shabiki.com and the Rashid Abdallah Super Cup cement their relationship. The tournament final will be played on the 14th of December at the Kwale Stadium, with the winner taking home 2.5 million shillings.
Hii Shabiki wameonyesha wazi kwamba wanathamini jitihada ambazo zipo mashinani, wameonyesha kwamba wana nia ya kuendelea kuwashika mkono na kukuza vipaji vyao na kuhakikisha kwamba ndoto zao haziishii tu njiani. Lina urefu wa sentimita 78 na ukiangalia katika nakshi zake ambazo limetengezewa, kuna shaba hapo ndani, kuna fedha hapo ndani, kuna mbao hapo ndani, kuna dhahabu hapo ndani. Wamegaramika Shabiki kulileta na ni kuheshimisha mpira na kuheshimisha vipaji.
Our goal is to bring even more excitement, visibility and positive impact to the tournament and its players. As Shabiki, we are always about